How's it going, everybody? In this video, we're going to go ahead and start off the initial configuration. I'm going to go, instead of doing one provider at a time and basically just redo the configs, I'm going to do both providers at the same time. I'm going to do IGP and LDP, then I'll do VPN v4, VPN v6, and then we're going to go do the VRFs. Get them connected down to the customers and do the BGP peerings. So just so everybody's clear, from the provider side down to the customer side, we are going to be doing BGP to here, because our focus for the next several videos, when we actually dive off into the different options, is going to be focusing here between the autonomous systems. That's going to be our goal. So we're going to focus on getting IGP and LDP up and running in this video, and next video we're going to do BGP VPN v4 and VPN v6, and then do the VRF config. And when we do the VRF config, since we only have 4 routers, well, technically it's going to be 8, but we're going to be doing peerings, and we're going to be advertising prefixes, and then we'll work on getting option A, B, C, and D, and all the different capabilities that go along with that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to start on CSR1 over here. We're going to run OSPF on this side and IS-IS over here. And we're going to go to global config and router do show IP interface brief. Type in router OSPF1. I'm going to type in network of 1.0 1.0.0.0 0.255.255.255 area 0, and then MPLS LDP auto config. So I'm going to take these few lines of config, do show history, and we're going to go ahead and drop these few lines of config into CSR2, CSR3, CSR4, and CSR5. And then we're going to jump over to, we'll go to Route Reflector 1, since he is also an iOS box. And then we're going to go jump to XR9. Go ahead and log in. Go to global config. Router OSPF1, area 0, interface gig 0, gig 1, gig 2, gig 3, gig 4, interface loopback 0. And we're going to specify MPLS LDP autoconfig, and then MPLS LDP, and then do the log neighbor and exit out, and then do a commit. Actually, just do a quick show config real quick. Then we'll go ahead and commit. And we should start to form adjacencies there. Let's go grab all this config right here and jump off to XR10. And let's go to global config, copy paste, because it's pretty much the same config there too. Commit. And then we're going to go to XR11. Go ahead and log in there. And then we're going to type in router OSPF1, area 0, interface gig 0, gig 1, interface loopback 0, MPLS LDP autoconfig, MPLS LDP, log neighbor, and commit. So with that being said, we should be all squared away there. So what's going to end up happening is, as soon as we get the adjacencies up and running, that should be all we need to really to do inside of this autonomous system. We're going to spend a, now we have an LDP coming up to 10. We should have a connection going to 4, which we do now. LDP is up there. So if we do show route, we should have a bunch of OSPF adjacencies in the routing table, which we do. And if we do show MPLS forwarding table, we're going to have a lot of labels populated, which is what we expect to see anyway. So that's where that's at. So, and did that not form the first time? So we're going to go ahead and we'll validate this in a couple of minutes. My goal now is to go focus on AS2 and get him all squared away. So we're going to go over to CSR6, and since this is going to be IS-IS, router IS-IS, we're typing 1. The net is going to be 49.000.6.00. MPLS LDP autoconfig. And the IS-type is going to be level 2 only. And we're going to go to interface gig 1, IP router IS-IS1, and then interface gig 2, IP router IS-IS1, interface loopback 0, IP router IS-IS1, and that's going to be 6's config. And then we're going to basically do the same thing to CSR8 as well. So we're going to do show history. We'll go grab these levels of config right there. We're going to go over to CSR8, go to global config. We'll type in router IS-IS1, the net, in this case here 49.000. There we go, and then copy paste. And then we're going to go over to that gets at least the minimum configuration up and running. So then we're going to go over to CSR7, and what I'll do is router IS-IS1, net value is 49.000. The net is going to be 49.000. That's 7.0.0, and then we're going to MPLS LDP autoconfig. And then we're typing interface range, gig 1 through 5, IP router IS-IS1, interface loopback 0, something like that. Because it makes it a little easier to configure rather than going in interface by interface, just do a range command. So after a moment, a little bit of time, we should get LDP adjacencies up between all the routers. So 7 and 6 should form a peering with each other, assuming that I've done everything correctly. And there it goes. So a little slower than I would have hoped, but it does still work. So now we're going to go to 12 through route reflector 2. So we're going to type in on 12. Now this is a little bit of different setup here. We're going to be on a different platform. So we're on XR, but this is going to be the 9K. So it's a slightly different implementation. Or I should say, it's a different, the platform's a little bit different. So it's going to be a little slower, but this is going to allow me to play around with some different features like segment routing and things like that. But we'll take a look at that in an upcoming set of videos. So I'm going to go to global config, and I'm going to go ahead and type in router IS-IS1. The net value is going to be 49.000.0012.00, and then address family IPv4 unicast. We're going to type in the MPLS LDP autoconfig, the IS dash it's the IS dash type is going to be level 2 only, and that the interface gig 0, gig 01, I'm sorry, and this one here is going to be address family IPv4 unicast. Gig 1 will be the same one, and then interface loopback 0, same thing, and then MPLS LDP log neighbor, and then we're going to go ahead and commit this config. So once that goes through, we'll be in good shape. So I'm just going to continue to go on. I'll do let's do show run router IS-IS, and what I'll do is I'll grab these few lines of config, and this will allow me just to speed up the process a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to 16 because he's on the other fringe, because then I can simply speed up the config on the routers in the core. So 13, 14, 15, and then route reflector 2. So now we're going to just go ahead and I'll dump the config in like so, right here. But what I'm going to do is hit I need to go back to this guy here and type in no for the net and then specify a different value. So in this case here, I will do a .16 and then I'll split the difference here, dot, and pull this one dot out. And then with that being said, I'll type in MPLS LDP autoconfig, or sorry, MPLS LDP log neighbor, and then I'll be able to just commit the config. So we'll have that. And so this guy should have an adjacency up momentarily if he doesn't already. These boxes are a little bit slower, so do show IS-IS neighbor. Let's see, 7 not set up correctly for these guys. Do show IS-IS interface or neighbor. So I'm paired with 4. Let me go figure out why this isn't coming up. So do show run interface gig 5. Okay, it's good to go there. Let's double check XR12. Do show run router IS-IS. Gig 00 is IPv4 unicast. Level 2 only, which is what we want it to be. Is 7 set up correctly? Do show run section IS-IS. Okay, that's the problem. I don't have this guy set up correctly. Let's go in here and we'll type in IS-type is going to be level 2 only. And then I'll go to 6. That's what I forget. That's what I've neglected to put in on 7. So 12 should have that set up now. So then we're going to go to, let's see here. Do show CLNS interfaces. So we have gig 5 is set up. So do show run section IS-IS. Okay, IS type is level 2. Oh, you know what you know what I'm forgetting to do is I'm forgetting to throw the metric style wide. That's what the problem is. So on 6, router IS-IS 1 metric dash style is wide. And so do show history. We'll go back to 7 and do the same thing here. Metric dash style is wide. Do the same thing at 8. Metric or router IS-IS 1 metric dash style is wide. And then so now when we go to here, router IS-IS 1 and metric address family IPv4 unicast, metric dash style is wide. That should fix that problem. So we should get an adjacency with 7 momentarily. Do show IP interface brief. And we'll do ping 2.7.12.7. I should be able to ping router 7's interface. Let's make sure that 7's interface is up. Do show IP interface brief. Do show run interface gig 5. Yep, that's all correct. So we might have a problem with the, I'm pretty sure this is an XR specific issue, because on XR9 on this side over here, if we were to look at XR9, we do a show ver, we're running 6.1 code here, right there, but on 12 here, if we were to jump out of global config and do a show version here, we're running 622. So it's an XRV 9K. So what I did basically, and I don't know if this is going to work, I had to play around with it a little bit more, but all I did was I copied the XRV 9K operating system to an iOS XRV, so it would run. It does boot. I'm not sure if it's actually going to work or not. I might have to downgrade these down to 6.1, but let me just make sure the config is right. Okay, all that looks good. And show run interface gig 0000. Okay, yeah, it should be rocking and rolling, but it's not for me appearing. So what I can do, so currently what we have is because the ping isn't working. So just to re-demonstrate that, if we were to ping 2.7.12.7, which is going to be pinging off the connection from XRV12's gig 000 interface, which is right here, to router 7's interface right here, gig 5. If we were to ping that address, we get nothing back, even though 7 knows it's up and running. Now if we were to ping from 13 backwards and do a show IP interface brief and ping 2.12.13.12, which is going to be 12 to 13. Yeah, so in this particular case here, it's not working, so this is going to be something that tells me that either this platform won't work in this particular scenario, or I'm going to have to bring these boxes down. And so I've got the config on 6, 7, and 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to power these guys down, I'm going to re-outfit them with older code, I'm going to downgrade the code to something I know works, and then I'll bring you guys back in. Well, after probably, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, if not longer, I have everything back up and running. So we're going to go back to router 7 and show IP interface brief. And we're going to go ahead and ping 2.7.12.12. And we should get a ping reply back, which we do. So I actually went and downgraded the OS on all the XR boxes. I actually had to completely blow them away and rebuild everything from scratch. So that's what took so long, but the beauty of video editing, you guys don't get to deal with that. So we're going to go ahead and get the config in play here on 12 and 16 respectively. So let me go ahead and log in. Router IS-IS1. The net will be 12.00. The metric dash style metric IS dash type is level 2 only. Metric. Why is that not wanting to work? Oh, address family IPv4 unicast. Metric dash style is wide, and then MPLS LDP auto config. And then we're going to go to interface gig 00000. 0 address family IPv4 unicast. And then we're going to do gig 1 address family IPv4 unicast, and then interface loopback 0, same thing. And then MPLS LDP log neighbor. And then we're going to do a show config. So we can pretty much take this config over to 16 and do the exact same thing, which is nice, minus the net address. We'll just have to swap out, which is an easy thing to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this config here on this guy. I'm going to go over to 16. I'm going to go ahead and log into him. Go to global config, and then we're just going to copy and paste. And so then I'll go back to router IS-IS1 and I'll just type in no net here, like so. And then the net will be 49.000.0016.00, and then I'm going to go ahead and commit it. So that will start that process up. And now I get to go configure 13, 14, and 15 respectively. So on 13, I'm going to go ahead and log in. And once I type in the right password, router IS-IS1, and then it's a net value of 49.13.00. Address family or IS-type is level 2 only. And then address family IPv4 unicast, MPLS LDP autoconfig, metric-style is wide. And then we're going to go and specify interface gig 0000, address family IPv4 unicast, and just basically wash, rinse, and repeat for the next several interfaces. And then 4, and then interface loopback 0, and then MPLS LDP log neighbor. We're going to do a show config, and what I'll do is I'll grab Notepad, and Notepad will allow me to kind of optimize this config rather quickly. So I'll just grab all the syntax right here, I'll drop it into here, and this will be 14. And we're going to go ahead and commit this config. And then on this guy here, we will drop this on 14. And copy paste. And then 15 respectively. And that will get us all up and running. 15. That's that. And you can see stuff is already starting to form in the background. And then 15. Go to global config, copy paste, and then commit. And then for route reflector 2, we're simply going to go here and just type in 20, and then we're just going to whack this last interface on the connection here just so that it's not unnecessarily there. And then just grab all that config like so. Go jump onto route reflector 2, which is right here, and then copy paste. And then commit. So now that we have all that done, that's pretty much the extent of the config. Rather straightforward and stuff. Now we're going to spend a little bit of time doing verification. So the easiest way to do this from a logic perspective is to just do this from the route reflectors. If the route reflectors can ping and have LDP labels to the provider edge routers and the ASBRs from both AS1 and AS2, not meaning that from our route reflector 1 to CSR5 and route reflector 1 to CSR1, I have reachability to the loopbacks. From loopback to loopback, that's good. Same thing with route reflector 2 to the PE and the ASBRs. I'm not trying to go from route reflector 2 to CSR5. It's not there yet. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So on route reflector 1, I'm going to go type in here show IP route, and so I should be able to ping 1.0.0.1 sourcing from loopback 0, and I can. And if I do .5, if I do .2, and then I do .11, like that. So that means right there that I have reachability everywhere in my network. So I don't really have to go in and do any additional config or any other additional verifications. That validates pretty much everything that I need. So one might say, well, what about labels? Well, okay, well, I can do a trace route to 1.0.0.11 sourcing from loopback 0 numerically, and I'll be able to take a labeled path. And that's exactly what you'd expect to see. So that being said, I know I'm in good shape in terms of the operations and things like that. So I'm happy with the configuration from that perspective. Now let's do the same thing on route reflector 2. I come up here and I do a do show, let's actually just get out of global config completely. We'll do a show route. I should have a bunch of IS-IS level 2 adjacencies, which I do. So now I can ping from here 2.0.0.6, sourcing from 2.0.0.20. I can ping that. I should be able to do a trace route as well. And go numerically. Yep, and I have a labeled path there. And if I was to do, for example, 16, same thing applies. Now, that being said, that gives me the flexibility and the reassurance that everything's working the way that it needs to be. So right now, IS-IS or IGP and LDP is good to go. Other than that, we're going to be able to dive into our next video. We'll focus on doing the VPN v4, VPN v6 configuration on the PE routers and the ASBRs, getting all that squared away, and we'll be in good shape. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.